You know someone like this. Everything seems to fall into place for them. They get the job opportunity that was not even posted publicly. They meet the right person at exactly the right moment. They make an investment just before it takes off. They walk into a room and somehow leave with a connection that changes their entire trajectory. And when you ask them how it happened, they shrug and say they just got lucky. And you have watched this happen repeatedly across years of knowing them. Not once, not twice, but consistently, patterned, almost predictable in its frequency. And somewhere in the back of your mind a question starts forming that you might feel slightly uncomfortable admitting. Why does luck seem to visit certain people over and over again while others of equal intelligence, equal education, and equal effort seem to wait their entire lives for a break that never quite arrives? Here is what the science actually says. Luck is real. Randomness is real. But the people you think of as perpetually lucky are not experiencing more random positive events than everyone else. They are experiencing the world in a way that makes them dramatically more likely to recognize, attract, and convert the opportunities that exist in the same environment everyone else is walking through completely blind. And today, we are going to break down the exact psychology behind why some people always seem lucky, and what it reveals about the hidden mechanics of opportunity. The first piece of this puzzle comes from a researcher named Richard Wiseman, who spent over a decade scientifically studying luck. He recruited hundreds of people who considered themselves either very lucky or very unlucky, and put them through a series of experiments that produced findings so clear they are almost uncomfortable to sit with. In one famous experiment, he gave both groups a newspaper and asked them to count the number of photographs inside. The unlucky people took on average 2 minutes to complete the task. The lucky people took on average a few seconds. Why? Because on the second page of the newspaper, Wiseman had placed a large message that read, "Stop counting, there are 43 photographs in this newspaper." The unlucky people missed it entirely because they were so focused on the specific task they had been given that they had narrowed their perceptual field to exclude everything outside of it. The lucky people saw it almost immediately because they were moving through the task with a broader, more relaxed form of attention that remained open to unexpected information. Wiseman called this difference openness to chance opportunities, and it is one of the most consistent traits separating lucky from unlucky people in his research. Lucky people are not more intelligent. They are more perceptually open. They move through their environments with an awareness that is wide rather than narrow, receptive rather than filtered, present rather than task-locked. And because of that openness, they literally see things that other people walk past every single day of their lives without registering. Here is the neurological explanation for why this perceptual difference exists, and it connects directly to something you can actually change about how you move through the world. When the human brain is in a state of anxiety, stress, or rigid goal-focused tension, it activates a cognitive mode that psychologists call narrow attentional focus. This is the brain prioritizing survival-relevant information and filtering out everything else. In a genuinely threatening environment, this is extraordinarily useful. You need to see the specific threat, not the beautiful view beside it. But in everyday life, this same mode means your brain is constantly filtering out the peripheral information that does not seem immediately relevant to your current concern. And peripheral information is exactly where most opportunities live. They do not announce themselves. They appear in the casual comment someone makes at the edge of a conversation, in the name mentioned in passing that turns out to be the exact contact you needed, in the unexpected invitation to something that seems irrelevant but opens an entirely different door. The chronically stressed, chronically anxious, chronically outcome-focused person misses almost all of this, not because the opportunities are not present in their environment, but because their brain's attentional system has been configured to exclude exactly the category of information that luck is made of. Lucky people tend to have lower baseline anxiety levels and move through their days with what researchers describe as relaxed alertness, a state of calm, open awareness that keeps peripheral perception switched on continuously. Now let us talk about optimism, because this is where the psychology of luck becomes almost counterintuitively powerful. And most people have it completely backwards. Optimism is not a personality trait that makes you feel better. It is a cognitive filtering system that changes what you are able to perceive and therefore what you are able to act on. When something goes wrong for a pessimistic person, Their explanatory style, the internal narrative they use to make sense of negative events, tends to be what psychologists call global, stable, and internal. This failure happened because of something fundamentally wrong with me. It will affect everything, and it will always be this way. This explanatory style does not just feel bad. It literally closes down the perceptual and behavioral systems that scanning for opportunity requires. When you believe the situation is permanent and pervasive, your brain stops looking for exceptions because it has already concluded there are none. But when something goes wrong for an optimistic person, their explanatory style tends to be specific, temporary, and external. This particular thing did not work in this particular context right now, which means their brain remains in the scanning mode, still looking, still open, still expecting that somewhere nearby is a route that works even if this specific route does not. And because they are still scanning, they find things, not because the universe is more generous to them, but because they have not told their own brain to stop looking. Martin Seligman's decades of research on learned optimism make clear that this explanatory style is not fixed. It is a trainable cognitive habit, and training it changes not just how you feel, but what you are neurologically capable of perceiving. Here is one of the most practically powerful findings in the entire research literature on luck and opportunity, and it comes not from psychology but from sociology. In 1973, Mark Granovetter published a paper that became one of the most cited in social science history. It was called The Strength of Weak Ties, and what it demonstrated changed how researchers think about opportunity forever. Granovetter found that when people got new jobs, discovered important information, or accessed significant opportunities, it almost never came through their closest relationships. It came through their weak ties, acquaintances, people they knew casually, former colleagues they had not spoken to in months, the friend of a friend they met once at a gathering. The reason is elegantly simple. Your close relationships largely know the same things you know, move in the same circles you move in, and have access to the same opportunities you already have access to. But your weak ties exist in different worlds. They have different information, different networks, and different doors that you have never had access to. And because lucky people tend to be naturally curious, warm, and genuinely interested in a wide variety of people, they accumulate weak ties constantly and effortlessly. They talk to the person next to them on the plane. They follow up on the casual introduction at the event. They stay in light contact with people from chapters of their life that most people let go completely dark. And each of those maintained connections is a bridge into a world of opportunity that a person with only deep, close ties can never reach. Let us talk about action bias, because this is where everything we have discussed about perception and optimism and social openness either converts into actual luck or stays permanently theoretical. Wiseman's research found that lucky people share one behavioral trait with remarkable consistency that unlucky people almost entirely lack. They act on hunches. They try things without requiring certainty first. They respond to invitations that do not seem obviously relevant. They reach out to people they barely know on a vague instinct. They show up to things they were not sure about. They take the meeting even when the connection seems unclear. And they do all of this with a tolerance for ambiguity and low probability attempts that most people find uncomfortable and therefore avoid. Here is the mathematical reality underlying this behavioral difference. If you consistently take small, low-cost actions on weak signals, you expose yourself to a much larger surface area of potential positive outcomes than a person who only acts when the path is clear and the outcome is certain. Luck is partly a numbers game, and lucky people unconsciously play more numbers. Not recklessly, but with a bias toward trying rather than waiting, toward reaching rather than observing, toward showing up imperfectly rather than preparing indefinitely. And the compounding effect of this action bias over months and years produces what looks from the outside like an almost magical frequency of fortunate outcomes. Here is the final psychological piece that completes the picture of why some people seem perpetually lucky, and it is the one that is perhaps most revealing about the true nature of what luck actually is. Lucky people are extraordinarily good at converting bad luck. When something goes wrong for them, they do not just recover faster than unlucky people. They consistently extract something from the negative experience that compounds into a future advantage. The failed business becomes the education that makes the next one succeed. The ended relationship reveals a pattern that produces a far better one. The missed opportunity redirects attention towards something that turns out to be significantly better than what was missed. This is not just resilience. It is a specific cognitive skill that Wiseman identified in his lucky subjects consistently. They expect good fortune even from bad events. They do not view negative outcomes as the final word. They view them as information and redirection. And because they hold this expectation, their behavior after setbacks remains exploratory rather than contracting. They keep moving, keep looking, keep engaging. While the unlucky person stops and mourns the closed door, the lucky person is already scanning the walls for a window. The closing of one thing for them is not an ending. It is data pointing toward a different direction that might turn out to be better than the original destination ever would have been. So here's what the science has been building toward this entire time, and why it matters more than almost anything else you could take away from this video. Luck is not a mystical force distributed randomly to the fortunate few. It is the predictable output of a specific set of perceptual habits, cognitive patterns, and behavioral tendencies that create a consistently higher probability of positive outcomes for the people who practice them. You can train your attention to stay open and peripheral rather than narrowed and filtered. You can practice the explanatory style of optimism that keeps your brain scanning for roots rather than concluding there are none. You can deliberately invest in a broader social network by staying genuinely curious and warm with a wider circle of people than feels immediately necessary. You can lower your threshold for action on weak signals by developing a higher tolerance for low-probability attempts and imperfect starts. And you can change how you process setbacks by asking what this is redirecting you toward rather than only grieving what it took away. Every single one of these is a trainable skill, not a personality type, not a birthright, not a cosmic allocation, a practiced daily orientation toward the world that over time transforms the frequency of what the people around you will call your luck. They will say you are just one of those people things always work out for, and you will know the truth. Things work out because you have built the eyes to see what is already there, and the courage to reach for it before you are certain it will hold.